Hey, thank you for listening and Talking Guns with Joe. I am Joe, and tonight I am joined by Miss Lindsey Guns. Lindsey, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great.
And tonight, let's just jump into it. We're going to talk about training stuff. All kinds of neat things. We can talk about some of the things that happened this week first, if you like.
What happened this week?
I'm just going by all the questions. I've got so many questions about this open carry.
Yeah.
That it's, I don't even like talking about it. But that thing that happened in Miami was a little ridiculous on both sides.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
You don't know?
I'm sorry.
Don't you follow our page?
I do.
And listen, folks, you can get this news by following our Facebook page. It's Talking Guns with Joe on Facebook. And we have Twitter, YouTube, and all that stuff, too. Long story short, these open carry activists, we're going to do, I guess, a little demonstration out on a fishing pier in Miami. And they wrote a letter to the chief of police, I guess, city of Miami, and said, hey, we're going to be out here. We're going to be exercising our right to open carry while we're fishing, blah, 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 blah,
yes,
blah.
Now I know what you're talking about. Yes.
And apparently, I guess, the whole story's not out yet. It's not going to be out for a long time. I think it's going to be brushed under the carpet. But somebody, I guess, called the Miami police. They went out there to this dock and pretty much treated these people like criminals. Well, I wouldn't go as far as criminals.
Well, you arrest criminals. That's what you do.
There's no answer. With the articles I read, there was no answer if they were definitely arrested. They were detained.
Okay.
But a lot of times in a situation like that, yeah, for officer safety to a point, they can cuff the person up, especially if they're acting weird.
Were they acting weird?
Don't know. The only person that had cameras on were the people that were fishing, which brings me to another point. They went out there knowing there was going to be some kind of controversy. That's why they were wearing body cameras, the GoPros on the chest. They had all their cell phones going, recording everything. That's why they wrote a letter to the chief of police saying what they're going to be doing.
They wanted a reaction.
They wanted a reaction.
They got a reaction.
And they got a reaction. I did think it was funny when the guy was crying about his shoulders. I don't feel bad for those guys for what happened.
Right.
I mean, that was on them. Was it their right to do so? Oh, yes, definitely. 110%. That's the law. They can open carry while they're hunting, and fishing falls under hunting.
Right.
I still don't know why you need to open carry while you're fishing off a pier.
Yeah, I don't see why that would be.
But anyway,
either.
I'm not a hunter, so I don't get any of that really. I understand it. I just don't do it. The open carry part, even if they allowed open carry in this state, I would never open carry. I want the element of surprise.
Yep.
I don't knock people that want to open carry. If they do start an open carry, go for it. Go right ahead. I don't mind. I would just choose not to do it.
But it's not for me. Right.
Yes. So I respect them. I respect their decision on going out there and doing their protest and all that. But in doing so, they should understand they wanted attention. They got attention.
They sure did.
Now,
just maybe not the attention they were thinking they were going to get.
For the officers that showed up, shame on them for not knowing the law.
Right. Everybody thinks that police officers, they know the law and they follow the law, but it looks like they don't always know.
No, they're not. No, they don't. I mean, that was a law. It's in the book. They could have let somebody there, a supervisor, somebody should have known this. And they were saying, hey, we sent a letter to the chief of police. He knew we were coming out there. Depends on how you send the letter.
Did you get a response from the chief of police?
Was it just a handwritten letter? Because when I'm at work, I'm at the shop. You know how much mail I get a day?
Right.
And do you know how many of them I actually open? Pretty much none. Somebody opens them for me, reads it, and if it's important, they give it to me.
Right.
Unless it's something personal, of course. But I'm sure the chief of police is going to be the same way. He's not opening up all the letters that he's getting. He's got staff that does that stuff. He has a secretary.
Right.
And they probably just file it the way I file things, which means in the garbage can. But anyway, I don't want to waste a lot of time on that. Shame on the officers for not knowing the law. It'll
be interesting to see how it plays out, though, because like you said, honestly, on a pier fishing,
everything was already dropped.
What's the need?
Everything was dropped. I think it's Florida carry. I think they're going to try to make an example of the officers on it. And I don't blame them for doing what they're doing.
Well, it's educating everyone out there now what the law is. Maybe more people will know.
When I'm at the gun shop during the week, I mean, there's a ton of law enforcement officers that come in. And since this happened, I've asked every single one of them, and they all know that law. But they also, some of them stated, yes, we do get the knuckleheads sometime that are just walking around carrying a fishing pole because they think they can open carry if they're doing so.
Right.
You got to be fishing, or your tent's got to be fishing or hunting. But we're not going to get in the legal end. We'll get some more attorneys in there to answer those questions. Today, I really want to talk about training, our background, and the lack of training, I guess.
There's a lot of that.
There is a ton of it. Now, we did a video the other day. I don't know if anybody saw it. Lindsey, did you watch it? Oh, that's right. You don't follow our page.
It depends on which video you're speaking about.
Just a video was a little bit on my background. Not trying to brag, not trying to toot my horn or anything like that, but
I watched it.
you got to separate yourself from some of the other shady people out there doing stuff. Again, I don't know how many times I've driven down the road and see those little yard signs, concealed weapons class, $25. We come to your house.
Yeah, that's amazing.
You get what you pay for, and the last thing I want to do is pay somebody $25 to come to my house to sign a piece of paper.
Show me that you can squirt a Windex bottle.
Yes. And what she means by that, folks, is one of the basic way, if you read the whole law and all that, there's no requirements for the classes. It's required that a licensed or certified firearms instructor watch you press the trigger one time on the trigger like something with a trigger-like device.
Trigger-like device.
Trigger-like device. We had a meeting with the state a few years back, and I asked what that was. I got the weird looks and the little rolling of the eyes. And I said, well, can I use a DeWalt drill?
It's got a trigger.
Yep. And they shook their head yes.
Because of the way it's worded.
Yes. Then I said, can I use a bottle of Windex? They their eyes opened up a little bit. And they were like, yes, but it has to be the kind that's like a trigger, not the kind you push down on.
Well, yeah, because it's a trigger.
Yes. That's horrible. And I've seen places that were giving out certifications for this. They're using a toy gun. I mean, it's like a water pistol. It's not even a replica of a real gun.
I could not in good conscience sign off on a certificate unless I see you shoot.
I mean, I came from the lovely state of New Jersey, or as I put it, the Communist Republic of New Jersey. It wasn't a bad place to grow up. But long story short with that, I didn't come from a gun family.
Right.
There wasn't a gun in the house when I was growing up. I didn't shoot. The only time I touched a gun, which I'll consider the gun, was a pellet gun. That's just because I had gun in the title. I was at my grandfather's house with my dad and my uncle, and I think I shot some cans in the backyard one time. And I hit the cans, by the way. Just bragging. That was the only time. And I was a little thing.
You were little at one point.
At one point in time, I was little. I think
Wow.
I was big. I was over 10 pounds when I popped out.
You were never little.
No. But that's the only time I shot a gun. I never had any, and it wasn't a real gun. It was a pellet gun. I mean, we'll call it whatever you want.
It's as close as you could get to the real McCoy.
And it was Jersey, so it was hard to get guns up there unless you were a criminal. All the bad people had them and the cops, but nobody else had them. So I never had any desire after that. I'd see them on TV, see people shooting them. Okay, that's cool. No desire. I don't think I had a bunch of toy guns growing up. Not till I decided I wanted to get into law enforcement. That's when I got into guns. The first time I ever fired a gun was in the police academy. That was interesting. I had some great instructors, though.
What was that gun?
That was a Glock 23.
Got it.
40 cal. It's still one of my favorite guns.
Well, you like a 40. You're a 40 cal guy. Maybe that's why.
And I'm older, so there was the old brick style Glocks.
The brick. Yeah.
I had some great instructors, and I took that part of the class. That was my biggest fear in there. Law enforcement was a little different up there when you went to the academies and down here, but I was always afraid I was going to get kicked out. I mean, every week people were getting kicked out, and we got to the shooting part, and I was nervous. I never did it before. Everybody I talked to in class, they all shot. They were hunters. They were in the military. They did all this other stuff, and they're all deemed they were experts with handguns. And I'd hear all the chat in the locker room, and here I am. Okay, I never touched one. Now I got to learn how to shoot one. So during those classes, I paid attention to the fundamentals, how the gun works, nonstop.
I find people are like that in class, though, too, honestly. The people that don't know anything pay more attention, and they end up doing a better job.
Well, you teach a lot of classes, so you can vouch for that. How many times have you had the person in class, well, I know everything about guns, I was in this, I did this.
And they go in there, and you should see their grip, and you should see their stance, and it's just a hot mess.
You can see their whole target, because half of them miss it. There's no holes in it. But I paid attention so much, and when we finally got out to the range, I had everything down. I went over it so many times in my head. From the first time I drew the firearm from the holster, I was hitting my target. And I guess the instructor took me under his wing a little bit, and he was shocked with what I was doing, but they kept smacking me in the back of the head. And like I said in the video, that's why I got the flat spot right there. They were allowed to do that back then.
So you were teacher's pet?
No, I tried to stay calm. I always wanted to be that guy. You were in this class? It's tough when you're a big guy, but I was shooting everything. It had to be about 4 inches. This is about 20, 25 yards, whatever it was, 4 to 5 inches off to the left. I was still in the Q target. That's what we had to use up there. I won't get into all that, but that's for politically correct reasons. And they kept yelling at me, "You're doing everything great." My group was the size of your fist, and I got a bigger fist than most people, but the group was the size of my fist, and they said, "Hey, you're doing great, but everything's over to the left. Aim the gun like we told you, and they'll get the good sight picture, the sight alignment." I was like, I'm doing exactly what you told me. Guaranteed. They kept arguing with me, smacking me in the back of the head. Finally, the other instructor picked up the gun after he told me it's a Glock. The sights are never off. It's the best thing since sliced bread. He shot the gun, looked at the other instructor, and said, "The sights are off."
Right.
They fixed my sights. Not bragging. I haven't missed since. That's it. I was pretty much natural at it, but I take a lot of it from I just paid attention.
That's key.
Yes, I paid attention to those details, the fundamentals, and I excelled. Then after I got out of the academy, I practiced like crazy. I'd go 2-3 times a week at the range.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, especially for where I lived in New Jersey. The closest range I can go to was 45 minutes away. So, I mean, that was a hike to get there, go shoot. I only shoot 100 rounds to 200 max. But that's how I advanced to the spot where I wanted to be. Then we went to, what did we do? We had a multi-agency little law enforcement competition. I took second place in that one. Shocking.
Very nice.
They said I would have took first, but when we were at the 50-yard line. That's 50 yards with a handgun. I threw 1 round, but they said if I would have gotten a prone position, which just means laying down,
right,
I would have won. I guess I had to throw 2, but I wasn't getting dirty. It was raining out. There was no way. So it was fun. It was interesting. Hey, let's finish this conversation when we return. And we are back. Thanks for listening to us. Again, you're listening to Talking Guns with Joe. I am Joe, and I am joined by Lindsey. And if you miss any of this or you want to see what we look like and laugh at us, which is easy to do, what are you laughing at?
I'm laughing already.
It's 9 o'clock. You can watch the video. It'll be on our Facebook page and be on our YouTube channel. Just look up Talking Guns with Joe. And you can also check out our website. Guess what page that? Guess what that? I can't even talk right now.
Would that website be called Talking Guns with Joe?
You got it. I could not get that out.
I'm not as dumb as I look.
No. She's giving me a real look at right now. So we're talking about that competitions. I am not a fan of competitions.
Right.
I think there's a lot of bad habits out there. I shoot for defensive purposes only. That's it. That's what we usually train. We do some bullseye shooting, some IDPA style stuff, training for people. But majority of what I do, it's just for personal protection. I believe it's the same as you, for you, Lindsey, right?
Yes. Yeah. For concealed weapons classes, personal protection classes, real life, tactical type situation, what you're actually going to do in a situation should you ever need it. Knock on wood. Hopefully we never will.
Yeah, hopefully we never will. It's like going on a cruise, though. You don't want to use the lifeboat, but you're glad it's there, right?
I call it an insurance policy.
Yeah.
It's like health insurance. It's like auto insurance, homeowner's insurance. You have it there just in case you hope you never need it.
Yes. So it's something you have. That's why I train just for defensive purposes. I don't train for competition purposes. That's why you'll never see me in the competition or anything like that. Been there, done that. I did one other competition, not to give that. Yes, I'll brag about that one on another night. I took out a competition shooter and he got a little upset with me. I had a bone stock Glock 19 with a Bianchi Model 82 holster.
Nice.
And if anybody knows what that holster is, it's a retention holster, so you have to hit a switch in the rear of it to actually release the firearm from the holster. It was not a speed holster. It's not one of these $300 magnetic holsters that the competition guys use. And I got out of the holster and on target and put the hole where it needed to be quicker, and he did a lot quicker.
You are kind of a machine when it comes to this stuff.
Because I practiced a lot. I'm getting older now. I'm getting slower. I'm getting rounder.
Your eyesight's
my eyes don't
what
work.
It used to be.
Oh, I had to shoot a bodyguard today.
Oh, geez.
Just to test it.
Semi or revolver bodyguard?
Up the semi.
Okay.
A little 380. And
because they have both.
I never owned guns like that. I never used the sights anyway. It's a point and shoot gun. If you're within 15 yards, you should be able to, well, that gun, I'll say within 10 yards for most.
Yeah, those little tiny guns, you're not.
You can hit your target easily without even using the sights. And so this one, we're trying to make it really accurate for the guy, adjusting the sights. And I actually had to use the sights on that gun. Yeah, I got to go back to the eye doctor.
Oh.
It was bad.
Oh.
So.
Not what it used to be.
Not what it used to be. So I had my career in law enforcement. It ended early because I got hurt on the job. They forced me out. They retired me. And honestly, the day I retired, I moved down to Sarasota from New Jersey. I came down to America.
Nice. Welcome.
Thank you. And it was a big shock when I came down here because, I went to go buy a gun for the first time. And it just, when I bought the gun in Jersey, even though the job, it took me 6 months to get a permit to purchase a gun. I was like, you gave me one for free.
Right.
So moved down here. I go buy a gun. Yeah, I had the 3-day wait until I got my concealed weapons license. But I was like, holy cow. After that, I started doing some because I was bored. I was young. I was retired. I like toys, so I need more money. So I started doing contract work for the government because of my firearms skills. I went around the country, hooked up with some people in the government, and the next man I know, I was living in Iraq. And that was interesting. And I was a police advisor, police trainer. I ended up being the firearms subject matter expert and tactical operations advisor. I was training our forces, coalition forces, the Iraqi police, border patrol, and Peshmerga. That's the Kurdish military and their border. It's all the same little country, but they separate everything.
Right.
It's kind of crazy how they do that, but had a good time. Won't trade it for anything. After 2 years of living there, I said, you know what? I'm coming back home.
It was too dusty.
Too dusty, too hot. Not that it's not hot here, but I wanted to come back to America.
Enough is enough at some point.
We might not be perfect here, even though I think we are, but it's still the best place to live.
Right.
It's the best country in the world.
There's some kinks we got to work out, but yes, it's still the best place
Those kinks make it interesting.
Yeah.
If everything just works smoothly and never had a problem, that would be boring.
Right.
So I came back. I had a young son anyway, missed 2 years of his life, came back. That's when I started getting into firearms training. That's what I knew.
Right.
That's what I did. Got all my licensing, all my certifications, started doing that. Then, I don't know if we ever talked about this before. A little old lady came in to take a class, and she was like 82 or 84. I forget now. A local gun shop had sold her a Smith & Wesson 357 revolver for her concealed carry gun.
It's awful.
Lindsey, she made you look big.
And I'm not that big, so.
You're 5 foot nothing.
I'm 5'3.5".
They know it down to the half when they're short.
Every half counts when you're short.
130 something, whatever. I'm not supposed to say a woman's weight on.
130 something. Yeah, we'll go with that.
This lady was tiny. She made you look big. And this gun shop sold her this gun. And this gun had probably a 12 to 14 pound trigger pull, which is normal. No matter what we did, she could not press the trigger.
I mean, it's almost just like a mean joke at that point when you do that to someone.
Yeah. And so, long story, Kevin and I were teaching the class. We got to get Kevin on the air.
I don't know if you should.
You need the beeper button with Kevin.
Yeah, he would need the beeper.
We're both teaching the class, and we wouldn't certify her to pass the class, sign off on her certificate because she couldn't press the trigger on her gun.
Right.
So Kevin, of course, he's Mr. Glock. He pulls out his Glock 19, gives her a brief rundown how it works and all that. She picked up the gun. She fired 10 rounds, and they were all within, like, in the bullseye or within the first circle.
That's awesome, which is like 1 inch away.
Yeah, and she goes, this is awesome. So then we had her rack the gun real quick. Took her 2 minutes. She was racking it. She loved it. She went and bought one of those.
Good for her.
But that other gun shop took advantage of her so much. I'm not going to mention their name. They sold her this gun, which MSRP on the gun was $649 at the time. They sold it to her for over $900.
Oh, my word. Bless her heart. That's awful.
That's when he said at that point in time, you know what? We're going to get our FFL and start selling guns.
And not take advantage of people.
And not take advantage.
I mean, that's just wrong.
Yes. So that's where we are today. Now I'm trying to go back to, I'm going to concentrate more on just the training. I have more fun with the training than anything else.
It is more fun. It's less aggravating, I think.
It's more satisfying as the instructor when you're out there teaching people, especially when they're deathly afraid of guns. They've never touched them before, just to do it. And yes, I have a knack for doing it. I'm not bragging, but I talked to some other instructors when I first got into this. They're like, oh, I've trained 400 people over these years and 400 this, and everybody was in that 4. If they're really good, they were 500. And I'm like, well, I've counted 4,000 in the past 2 years.
Right.
And so I think I had a little bit more experience with them than that. Now, Lindsey, you work for Aegis, aka, and also Florida Concealed Carry.
Correct.
Doing classes, and that's me too. And we have Tim, we have Kevin, we had Kevin. We're trying to get Kevin back. I have a lesson plan I came up with.
Right.
It's simple, but it works. It's effective. So, do you have any comments there about the lesson plan? Anything?
Well, I mean, what I like doing is I like teaching people that they can do something they didn't think they could do.
And actually show how easy it is.
Like and she was probably sold a revolver because, she couldn't possibly operate a semi-auto, rack the slide, do all that. It reminds me of when we used to do gun shows. And there was a girl, she walked up to the table and she was looking for a revolver because she told me she couldn't rack the slide. I couldn't for the life of me understand why. She was 20-something, maybe 30-something. And I showed her how to rack a slide in 5 minutes and she ended up buying a semi-auto.
Yeah, it's simple. And one thing people have to remember, they're not racking the slide, cycling the firearm, whatever you want to call it, every single time you press the trigger.
No, it's just the one first time you have to do it.
And you should carry your gun loaded anyway.
Right. And you're ready to go.
And if you're not carrying a gun loaded, I suggest just not carrying a gun.
But the look in her eyes and how big her eyes and how excited she got when she learned that she could do something she previously thought she could not do, it's a great feeling.
It's a stigma, I guess, guys. Well, yes, you go to most places. Ma'am, you need a revolver because it's easier to operate, simpler for you.
Right. And it doesn't jam. Yeah, I love that one too. I love that one.
Yeah, tell our gunsmith that. But yeah, again, we've talked about this before. If a gun shop ever tells you to do that, and you have videos on YouTube about that.
Yes.
If a gun shop sits there and tells you, well, you need a revolver because you're a female,
walk
they're
out.
Insulting you. Walk out.
Seriously, walk out. Ladies, if you can bake them a cake and you can wash their clothes, you can certainly operate a semi-automatic. If you don't think that you can, come see me. I'll show you.
You're baking cakes?
Absolutely. I love cake.
I was just like that squirrel that ran in front of me. You said cake, and it's all my attention was
ADHD. Cake? What?
Yes, cake.
So
what?
Totally distracted.
Yes, something shiny. Gotta
Chocolate cake.
Chocolate cake. Wow.
Amazing.
Now we're talking. So I like it. I enjoy doing the training part.
Yeah.
I want to get more heavily involved in the training. I am sick and tired of people that come into the shop that have taken classes places and got misinformed.
And they still have questions.
They have not learned a thing about how to handle a firearm safely, but they sat there and paid some person to sit there and brag about their fake background.
Right.
You can tell I'm getting ticked about this.
Yeah. It's
for
irritating.
2 hours, go into a range and maybe fire one round and leave.
Right.
And then they call us up. And
then that person is out there carrying a concealed weapon, carrying a concealed firearm with everybody else out there in the world. And we don't really know if they're going to be proficient or not.
I mean, the past 2 weeks, it's summertime, so things are slow. So I have a little bit more time during the classes just to get to know the people and talk. And you'd be surprised how many people have already taken a class somewhere else then came here because they just had too many questions.
Yeah.
That weren't answered. And they were like, we never went over any of this in the other classes.
I tell people in the beginning of my classes, nobody has enough time or money these days. I want you to feel like you got your time's worth and your money's worth out of this class. I want it to be a good value to you. That's what's important to me.
Yeah. Why don't we take a brief break? Take a pause for the cause.
Okay.
That's old school right there.
Very old school.
We'll return in a minute. And welcome back. Thanks for waiting for us there. I am Joe. I am joined tonight with Lindsey. And we're talking about training and everything else around training. And why people, when you're talking about money, people wasting money in training.
I hate it.
Again, the past couple of weeks, we've been getting a ton of people who have taken classes somewhere else or some of those, I won't even say it, but some of these shows or arenas in the area.
Operation.
Fly by night. They're going to the hotel conference rooms, taking a class, and it's either some of them, it's just filling out paperwork, which I'll tell you right now, when you go to get your concealed weapons license, go do it in person. Go to the divisional licensing office, go to the authorized tax collector's offices. They pretty much do everything for you there. They're doing the fingerprints at no charge. They're taking your picture at no charge. They're helping you with the form. They can't answer the questions for you, but it's all digital. It's all on the computer. There's no issues with it. It's not handwritten. There could be no mistakes. Well, there can always be a mistake, but it's so much quicker and easier to do it that way. We have tons of people who come take a class on Monday. By Friday, they have their license in the mail.
Yeah, much more satisfying.
Yes. So if you're taking a class that's wasting all kinds of time teaching you how to fill out that piece of paper to get your license, yeah, no. And if you need instruction on how to fill out the paperwork, yeah, there's another issue there.
You should know the answers to the questions.
It's name, address, have you ever been locked up, and all that other fun stuff. It's simple. It's almost the same form as when you purchase a firearm, the ATF form 4473. So, what's your biggest questions you get in your classes, Lindsey, about concealed carry? Now, granted, a lot of your people are women.
What are you trying to say?
You do an all-ladies class.
I do have an all-ladies class.
And you're a woman.
I am.
I'm a guy. We don't have those issues.
Right.
And folks, the issues I'm talking about are your dress. I mean, I'm not wearing a dress in public. No, I'm not wearing a dress. Skirts.
Squirrel.
Squirrel. There's the squirrel. You are. There's different ways to carry. You're not wearing.
There are different ways to carry.
Yeah, belts. So, what's your biggest question when you get in your class from your all-ladies class?
Well, I do find a lot of women at first are kind of nervous about carrying on their person.
They always want to carry in a purse. They
do want to carry in their purse.
Which, I don't carry a purse often, but to me, it would be the last place I'd want to carry a gun. A tool that I'm using to defend myself, my family, my loved ones, whatever. Because it's the first thing the bad guy takes.
It is.
So,
and it's the last thing you're going to find in your purse, too. Everything else is going to be on top of your firearm because it's going to be the heaviest thing in that bag.
It's like our situational awareness class. We have a lot of women that come in there and so we tell them to bring what you carry. You know, the firearm in the holster that you're carrying. That's how we're going to practice. And they'll bring it in their purse, and when the instructor tells them to shoot, and it's calm, it's nothing really stressful, they can't even get the gun out of the purse.
Right, exactly.
So if you're going to get a purse, make sure you get a purse that's designed to carry a gun, has a separate compartment for the holster. And to me, I would use it as a last resort, maybe.
Only in an absolutely need-to basis, which I can't imagine what that be. With different holsters and different ways of carrying for different outfits, I don't know what the need-to-be would be.
I mean, I carry in the same spot all the time. It hasn't changed in 20-some years.
I don't.
I don't want to know.
I can't carry in the waistband when I'm in a dress.
True. Then what do you have? A thigh holster?
A thigh holster.
And it works, right?
Yes, and at that point, you're talking inside the thigh carry.
Yeah. What do you have, the little Ruger LCP or?
Yes.
Yep. We have different guns for different occasions, people.
Yes.
If I'm going out to a fancy place, I got my fancy gun. I'll take my Fusion or something like that.
Because it goes better with your outfit?
Yeah. It's got to match your outfit. You got a belt that matches the grips, everything else. See, you understand.
I do. I get you.
So, but I always carry, to me, it's the 4 or 5 o'clock position on my body. That's really between my front and rear pocket, right side, because I'm right-handed. To me, that's the most comfortable way to get the gun out.
Yep.
It can be a little uncomfortable sometimes carrying it, but it doesn't bother me. I've been doing it for 20-some years. I'm used to it.
I'm normally in the same spot.
Yep. I don't appendix carry for 2 reasons. A, I got a belly. Makes it difficult to get that gun out.
No comment.
No comment.
I don't know what to say on that one.
B, I appendix carried when I wasn't this fluffy. And I jumped in my car, and that's the last time I'll ever appendix carry.
Jam yourself in your no-no?
Yes, that's the correct way of putting it. It did not feel good. I brought a little tear to my eye.
Well, even women, I mean, it does. It jams in your leg. It's
remember that video of that guy that shot himself in the no-no the other week? Ouch. Yeah, some women, your bodies are designed, different hips, different everything. You're not as fluffy as me. You got to find a comfortable spot on your body.
Right.
I'm not a fan of carrying.
To each their own.
Some people carrying the smaller of the back. I'm not a fan of that. It bothers me when they have the holster the wrong way back there, too. It's the same holster. But
you got to be more flexible.
Cross draw, I'm not a fan of.
Not a fan at all.
At all. I don't train it. I don't practice it. I try to avoid people from doing that. And it just comes down to statistics, because when the average person can get their gun out of the holster in life-threatening situations, that's when they press the trigger and make the gun go bang. So if they're cross-drawing or carrying a shoulder holster, which way is that muzzle pointed, folks?
Right. Well, and my whole thing too, when I teach classes, I talk about reducing the probability of error. Okay, because this situation already is going to catch you off guard. God forbid it ever happens. This situation is already going to catch you off guard. I'm going to reduce the probability that I create more errors in that situation. I want to be in control of as much as I possibly can. Be ready for that situation to approach me.
Yes.
And I think cross drawing is one of those things that just leaves room to create more errors.
Especially because most likely if you get involved in any situation where you're going to use your gun, most likely it's going to be up close and personal, and that's within arm's reach.
Right.
Let's face it, I'm a big guy. Lindsey, if you want to go cross draw, I'm just going to get in closer to you.
Right. And at that point, I'm not drawing anything.
Yeah. If I get in close enough till you get you pinned against the wall or something like that, yes, you're not drawing anything at that point in time. That's what was pounded in my head years and years ago in training. So I won't do it. It still holds that way today. Now, do you carry inside the waistband or outside the waistband?
I carry inside the waistband, and again, in that 4 or 5 o'clock position, just as close to my gun hand as I can possibly get it, because that reduces the probability of anything coming in between me and actually accessing my gun.
Yes. I mean,
Simple.
I never have anything in my right hand. I carry 99% of the time in the waistband.
Right.
Probably 100% of the time. Same thing. My right hand's for one thing. My right hand is for protecting myself. It's to go for my weapon, whether it's going to be my gun, my knife. And yes, I carry multiple knives. People laugh. They were laughing the other day because my EDC picture, the knife was more expensive than the gun and the holster.
He likes his gadgets.
I like my gadgets. But my right hand, if you see me at anywhere, my cup of coffee, my drink is always in my left hand. I'm walking around the store 99% of the time. The bags and everything are going to be in my left hand.
Right.
My right hand's there just to grab the gun.
Right.
And a lot of times I'm walking around, you can tell my hand's always near my pocket.
It is. Yep.
And that's just training. I think it's from being on the job and other stuff that I've done in my career. Just quicker to come up and get the gun that way. So you just train yourself like that.
All
that's
about
tough for
accessibility.
me. And that's tough for me. Italian background, talking with my hands.
You are.
They're usually always in front of me.
They're on the radio, though. They can't see that unless they watch the video.
They can watch it on Facebook after we're done here. So it's, that's how I carry. That's how you carry. Let us know how you carry.
Yeah. And again, like we said, the thigh holsters, you're talking opposite leg inside of the thigh draw at that point.
They don't have a thigh holster for me.
You got to lift up that skirt. You got to draw that gun and do what you got to do.
And still, that's a lot.
It is.
It's like we had
But in a dress, that's as close as I'm getting it to my gun hand. I
tried the ankle holster one time. Long story short.
Far. Yeah.
I said, this is going to be great. I wore it, jumped on the motorcycle, went for a ride. I'm like, this is really annoying.
Not great.
I just tried wearing it for a day. I couldn't stand it. I gave it away. And the biggest thing, I didn't dawn on me. I thought it was cool to have one there. We live in Florida, folks. It's hot down here.
Yes.
In the summer. It's hot all day long. Most people wear shorts all day long.
You wear shorts. Even when it's cold, to me, you're in shorts.
Yeah, I wear shorts all the time. We had a guy this past week that came in here, and he's like, hey, I want an ankle holster. I'm like, sir, how do you normally dress? He goes, the way I am now.
So in shorts.
I said, you're in shorts, sir. How are you going to conceal the ankle holster? He goes, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Then he was a fluffy guy too, and we were joking around afterwards because it just didn't dawn on him. I said, how would you bend over to get your gun? And he was an older guy too. It was a serious question. I wasn't picking on him.
Right.
He's like, I never really thought about any of that. Let's face it, again, if you're going to get involved in a situation where you're going to have to use a gun to get out of it, guess what? It's going to take place up close and personal, usually within arm's reach. And that whole entire situation usually lasts about 2 to 4 seconds.
And so with the ankle holster too, something else you have to really think about is in that moment when you're drawing, you want to keep your eye on that person that you are drawing on. Okay. And when you reach down for an ankle holster, a lot of the times your eyes are going to go down, and that's not good either.
I just don't want to bend over in front of anybody. It can be embarrassing.
Split your pants.
Split your pants. It's like that too. This situation, somebody's standing there, they got a knife out on you, and there's, hey, give me your wallet. What are you going to do at that point in time? They're up close and personal. You're going to bend over and try to get your gun?
No, you're not going to get it.
I tell everybody, give them your wallet. Who cares?
That's why I keep it as close to my drawing hand as possible.
Yes. I mean, myself in a situation like that, my gun's going to be on my normal spot, 4 or 5 o'clock position. I am going to grab my wallet, which I do keep in my right pocket. I am going to throw it at them, throw it on the ground, throw it behind them, do something so their attention's away from me.
Squirrel.
And at that point in time, I can draw my firearm.
Right.
If they take off running, I'm just going to get a good
No
description.
shots fired. Right.
I don't need.
Yeah.
I just don't want to get involved in any of it. But
well, there was a threat. They're running now. The threat's gone.
yeah.
I mean,
but if they turn around and come back towards me,
different situation.
game on. That point in time. Let's finish this conversation up. I want to talk about reholstering next.
Okay.
So we'll be back in a second, folks. Hey, welcome back, and thanks for sticking with us. Again, we were talking about holsters, Lindsey and I, and what are you laughing at me for already?
Well, they've stuck around this far. They might as well stick with us for the next segment, right?
Stick around to the end and watch us on Facebook. And folks, if you have any questions, a lot of these things are coming from questions we're getting from Facebook. Jump on our Facebook page, Talking Guns with Joe, and send us a private message. Put it right in one of the comment sections, and we'll answer them for you.
Absolutely.
So we get a lot of questions about reholstering and buying the holster, and they're saying, oh, it's difficult for me to reholster that gun.
Tee-hee, tee-hee.
Folks, honestly, you're not going to be reholstering your gun.
No, yeah, why?
Because think about it. If somebody pulls a gun on you and you draw your firearm, it's out. You're not in law enforcement. You're not trying to subdue that person. You're not trying to take them into custody.
No.
You have your gun out. You'll leave it out until law enforcement gets there.
Absolutely.
You know, if the person takes off running and they leave the area, okay, you might have to pull your holster out to reholster your firearm, but you're not trying to reholster a firearm quickly.
Yeah, like the YouTube speed reholstering videos.
Yeah, like the one we play in the shop all the time. These certified instructors teaching people how to draw the firearm, and he shoots himself in the leg. Then the other guy that's trying to reholster his gun and shoots himself in the foot.
Right. Why are you reholstering?
Yes. I mean, there's certain situations that you're going to have to, but that's still simple to do. People are just saying, oh, I got to do it quickly. Why?
Yeah, at that point, I'm baffled.
Yeah, you know, if somebody comes after me, I pull my gun out. Even if they hit the ground and they're laying there praying to everybody, my gun's going to stay out till law enforcement gets there.
I'm going to give them my description. Here, I'm the girl with the crazy red hair.
Yep.
I'm wearing some jeans.
And also
I got
remember,
my gun on the guy.
Let's give the cops some credit here. Now, when they come out there, you call the cops. Let's say you're in the parking lot. You got a gun out on somebody, or you just shot somebody. Hopefully you didn't, but you have your gun out. You call the cops, tell them the situation's there. They show up. They have no idea who you are.
If you're not the one on the phone, that you don't have a way of giving your description.
Yeah, even if you did, they still don't know who you are. They're going to approach you cautiously.
Right.
Listen to their requests and demands.
Right. You're not the bad guy.
Yeah.
And they're trying to keep themselves safe.
Yes. So if they tell you to drop the gun, put it on the ground,
do it.
They tell you to get on the ground, do it.
Don't be stupid.
Let them do their little investigation right then. Their short investigation, not little. And they're going to be able to figure out what happened.
Right.
Then if they cuff you, they'll uncuff you at that point in time, whatever it's going to be. Just give them some credit and a little break.
Just know you're trying to keep yourself safe from the bad guy. They're trying to keep themselves safe as well. You're the person with the gun at that point.
Yeah.
So follow their instructions.
Follow their instructions. Lindsey just hit the mic. I heard that because she's starting to take after me and talk with her hands.
Hanging out with you too much, I guess.
You must be. Another thing that we had pop up this week more than once were people, before they came to take a class, they went to the range to learn how to shoot. Folks, that's the opposite.
Who do they learn how to shoot from?
Bingo. And then when they come in, we had a guy that came in the other day. I mean, it's right on the knuckle of his thumb was still bruised up and cut.
Oh, bless his little heart.
Yeah.
You know what that means, right?
Yes. I helped the guy out real quick. He was a good guy. He was I forget what war he was in. He's a veteran.
Okay.
But I'm sure it was way back when.
Well, and veterans, they don't have a lot of pistol experience.
Some
honestly,
do.
you're mostly talking long gun experience at that point, right?
Yeah, a lot of times it's long gun.
Right.
But the biggest thing, and let's just jump into that, veterans, you technically don't have to take a class to get your concealed weapons license in this state. You have to give the state, still fill out the application, do the background check. You have to wait till you actually get the license before you carry. Don't make that mistake that a lot of other veterans had made out there. But You give them a copy of your DD-214, and they'll issue your license based on that. Ladies, gentlemen, our vets out there, it is worth your while to take a class just to learn the laws and maybe learn some stuff you didn't realize about concealed carrying.
Well, and maybe learn some updated stuff too, but frankly.
They're not learning state laws in the military.
Right.
They can't.
Concealed carry laws, what you can and can't do in a situation.
Yes.
I mean, you need to know that.
Yes, it's concealed carry. You're not open carry. You need to know all the laws in the state where you can carry, where you can't carry, when you can use it, when you can't use it, all the what ifs.
And there's a lot of them.
Yes. So when you take a class, give us a call. We'll get you hooked up if you're not in the area. We'll help you find the place. But, of course, we're going to tell you to come see us because we're the best.
You know what? Like someone told me, if you don't think you're the best one doing it, you shouldn't be doing it. So,
yeah.
We're the best ones doing it.
We are the best, hands down. Nobody comes close. But listen, you got to take a class. You got to learn the laws out there. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
There's some black and white, but there's a lot of gray.
Yes. And don't think that you knew the laws and, I'm going to buy that book from the attorney. Yeah, he writes the book, so you have to buy it every year. It's a moneymaker. We go over all the laws in depth in the class, go over all the what ifs. Then when things change, we don't charge you to update you on laws. We send you an email going, hey, this just changed. Be careful.
Right. Because we actually care?
Yes, and it's ongoing. Once you're trained, we on at
right.
It irks me when that happens. I've actually written to the governor's office in the past. Adam Putnam's office in the past. Now he's running for governor. Did I say his name right?
Yes.
I don't give it.
Yes.
Saying, hey, you're doing a great thing for the vets. I understand all this stuff. Why don't you go one step further? Why don't you give them the license for free?
That would be nice.
They won't even entertain the idea.
Because it's a moneymaker.
It's a moneymaker. That's all they care about is getting your money. They're not doing you any favors by telling you not to take the class. In my opinion,
And what I care about when you come take our class is that you're better equipped to protect yourself and your family. That's what I care about.
I'm at the point, vets, if you're out there, you need to learn the laws, give me a call, send me a message. Everything's on our Facebook page, and I will get you in a class with a group of other vets, and we will do a good time, of course, have fun.
That sounds like a great time, actually. I want to be there.
Drastically discounted. Tell me you heard it on the show, drastically discounted, and come in and go over all the laws, all the what ifs with you.
Right.
And just solve that problem right then and there.
It's a good service.
You don't want to sit in the whole class, learn how to shoot and all that, that's fine. Right. We're going to go over all the laws with you. Because you need to learn it, because you can just do a simple Google search on how many vets have gotten in trouble in the state of Florida for that. And there was a group that thought just because they had the DD-214 that they can conceal carry.
Nope, you have to have that actual little license.
You have to have that license on your person. So, I think that sums it up. We can go on for hours about this.
Well, I mean, you were saying, again, don't shoot until you learn, right?
Yes.
Reminds me of the man who brought in his wife, and he wanted her to take a concealed class with me. And she had never shot before. And honestly, I love that because I've got no bad habits to break. It's hard to break bad habits.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, I'm going to take her to the range and show her a few things before the class. I'm like, sir, I'd really honestly rather you don't. Let her learn from a professional. Let her learn the correct way the first time. Well, what does he do?
Took her to the range.
He took her to the range. He gave her, I believe it was a 45, because he's been shooting a 45 all his life, right? And she never wants to touch a gun again.
Yep. She canceled her class on you.
She did cancel the class. And I think we gave them a credit in the shop for the purchase price of the class because she canceled the class. She doesn't want to do it now. No. Learn the right way.
Yeah, we get that all the time. We had, this had happened 5-6 years ago. Again, Kevin and I were doing a class, and it was a little old lady. She was cute. Her husband, not so cute. He was standing in the back at the range, and they both took the class together. He was a know-it-all. He knew everything about guns. He was the best thing since sliced bread.
Right.
And when we actually went to the range to go qualify, she goes to grab the gun, and she's completely gripping the gun wrong. You know how she was gripping it?
How's that?
Standard. Her support hand thumb was behind the slide.
Ouch.
So we stopped her, said, ma'am, you can't shoot that way. You're going to hurt yourself.
Right.
So her husband pipes up and yelling and screaming at us that we are not to teach her how to shoot a gun or nothing. Don't tell her nothing. Just certify her for her license. That's what we're paying you for.
No, that's not what you're
And we're
paying
like,
us
sir,
for.
if she shoots like this, she's going to get hurt. We don't know what we're talking about. He started yelling at me.
I've seen it happen.
Yes, he was adamant about me. He was yelling, screaming. I thought he wanted to like throw down. It was funny. So we basically just said, and the lady starts yelling back at us that we don't know what we're talking about. Her husband knows everything about guns.
Right.
So long story short, she signed the waiver. I said, ma'am, if there's any blood, you hurt yourself and you press the trigger, which you're going to, you failed the class. Long story short, it was 12 stitches.
Right.
That's what she got.
Yep, I've seen it happen.
Pressed the trigger one time. She had to go to the hospital. She came back a couple days later, apologizing profusely. Her husband wouldn't get out of the car and saying that she wants to take the class again with us and not have her husband around.
Long story short, you knew what you were talking about?
Yes.
Go figure.
Don't put your finger back there. It's going to hurt.
Figure. Yeah, I went to the range one time with a guy who was prior military, and he was gripping the gun that way. And I told him he might not want to do that. But, I'm just a female, and he's prior military. So what do I know? Yeah. He gripped his gun like that, and he bled all over the range. Yeah. Bless his little heart. I won't mention names.
Here's the thing. Like at the beginning, when I was talking about going to the police academy, I didn't know about guns. I didn't lie about it. I didn't try to be Mr. Macho about it. I paid attention.
Right.
I went over everything in my head 1,000 times. If I had a question, I asked.
It's okay to admit you don't know anything.
Yes. It's okay to ask questions.
That's how you learn.
God bless our men and women in the military.
Absolutely.
But not everybody. It's a team. I always say it's a team sport. You have everything from, you have the quarterback. Everybody wants to be the quarterback. The punters, you have everything. Then there's a coach. Not everybody can be the quarterback.
And you stay together, and that way you arrive alive.
Yes. So listen, folks, you need the training, get the training. Comes down to that.
Absolutely.
So what's the other saying that they have out there? Do you want to be a survivor or a statistic?
Yes.
Do you want to be a survivor or a statistic? The choice is yours.
I'm hoping everyone that comes through our classes is a survivor.
Yes. We don't even want to get you into those situations. That's why we do our situational awareness classes like we did this morning. Those are awesome as well. We could talk more about them next week.
Okay.
So, folks, thank you for sticking with us tonight. It's
all the way through to the end.
All the way through to the end. And again, if you want to watch it, go to our Facebook page. If you have any questions, just message us on Facebook, and we will get your questions answered for you. Joe's the bald one. I'm the one with the red hair. Don't get that confused. So listen, folks, have a great night. Have a happy 4th of July. Absolutely. Happy 4th. Happy Independence Day, everybody. Do not shoot into the sky. Buy firecrackers. No celebratory gunfire. Please. Keep your gun pointed in a safe direction. Absolutely. Folks, be safe. Have a good one, and we will talk to you next week.